How's it going, everyone? I'm Diode, and today marks the first week since I started the Zero to Hero challenge in Season 1 of The War Within. If you didn't watch my previous video, you probably should. I discuss the rules and basically don't do anything else in it, but it gets me more views, so go check it out. Today starts a new week though, and I have some stuff to do, like the weekly events, delves, and all the other vault checklist stuff, including stepping into Mythic Plus for the first time in this new expansion. So if you want to see me suffer through the grind, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss the next upload. I managed to start the week off just how it ended the previous one, with an item level of 592 and some pieces I desperately need to replace, like the wrists, gloves, and that trinket that everyone so desperately wants. But I did put in the work by farming a lot of profession items like the different kinds of cloth, and I also disenchanted a lot of random gear I got from World Quest and such to make myself some gold to be able to craft this 615 weapon, embellishments and all. And now I'm super broke again, so I won't get any other crafted item for a very long time. This is actually a continuation from the last video, so you're not gonna get a vault opening in this one. Instead, I'm gonna get right into it, coming into this building so that I might get my mythic key. Where can I find this up there? No, this is just the portals. I don't have a mythic key, so let's try here. So yeah, these are all the portals to the different Mythic Plus dungeons, but how do I get the key to start it off? Do I have to go into Mythic 0? How about you? No, the portals again. Okay, so how the fuck? If you hadn't figured it out, I had no idea how to actually get a Mythic key. And if you need more proof that I am a casual, here's my empty Mythic Plus screen. Well, that ends today. Today, I put on my big boy pants. Today, I step into Mythic Plus without fear. Well, maybe a little bit of fear. Today, I start writing my own story of victory.
A few minutes later.
Well, if that's how it's gonna be, then... Finally, my first ever Mythic Plus dungeon, a +2 Necrotic Wake. It's been a very long time since I've been in this place, and for good reason. The team is composed of a Demon Hunter tank, a Restoration Shaman, Retribution Paladin, Enhancement Shaman, and yours truly. You know what? I'm feeling hopeful. I've got a good feeling about this run. Okay. Let me walk you through this first Mythic Plus experience and, well, let's just play the video. So I joined this group. They're all pretty chill, decently geared, so I think we're good to go. And not even a minute in, we have our first death from the Red Paladin, just flopping over in a few seconds. Okay. No biggie, maybe some aggro rip or just a random mishap, you know, it happens. The second pool starts off great, up until the part to where it doesn't. You can see here that the healer is taking aggro from the pack and that this Gaslight Gatekeeper Gara boss really doesn't like a Resto Shaman. Shortly after, the wandering group up in the top left gets aggroed as well, by apparently myself and the paladin. I have rewatched this part over and over and I have no idea what happened. Was it one of my spells, something from the paladin, or was it just because the mobs were too close to aggro range and just happened to damage them before the tank was able to get some aggro? If you can pinpoint what it was, please tell me down in the comments below so I know what to look for in the future runs. Oh yeah, while we get completely overwhelmed here, let's talk about Salatat's balls. I am talking about the affix, god. So, Salatat's bargain, Ascendant. According to Wowhead, while in combat, Salatat rains down orbs of cosmic energy that attempt to empower nearby enemies, increasing their haste and movement speed. If the players disrupt these orbs, they claim this effect for themselves. In short, grab Salatat's balls before the enemy. Okay, moving on from the balls, we go back to the pack that previously wiped us and clear it with absolutely no problem. It was my first time seeing this affix, so you'll see me running wild once I see the orb spawn, which you don't need to do. They will float to wherever the fight is, so just position yourself in their tracks and they'll get to you eventually and the shaman is dead. We continue clearing the area around the boss just so we don't accidentally pull anything and to save us some time moving forward after the fight. This is where I figured out the orbs float to you and I just maneuver around to get the buff, which is group wide, so don't be afraid to just get as many as you want. Just make sure they don't reach the enemies. The first boss, Blightbone, has a few mechanics that really hurt if you get hit by them, so let's discuss. First of all, Heaving Wretch. This is a cone of puke shot towards the marked player, so be on the lookout for positioning and move if you're in the cone, unlike the shaman here. This puke factory will summon 3 worms that fixate on players, so if you see glowing red eyes on top of your character, kite them away and deal as much damage as fast as possible. If they ever hit their target, they'll get a buff that makes them do more damage. And if that buff stacks to 3, they'll explode and infect everyone in the group with a nasty dot, so you can imagine what happens if all of them blow up. After the worms are killed, they drop a, let's call it a caca pool on the ground, so try and kill them fast and as bunched up as possible. The boss itself also drops some caca from time to time, so please, and we've been doing this for almost 20 years now, don't step in shit. The next hallway is fairly straightforward. Just group the mobs together and slam them hard. Do be on the lookout for the Skeleton Marauders. These Skelly boys hit hard, and they have an AoE fear which you can interrupt, stun, or just, walk out of. But keep a lookout for the purple silker on the ground. And just as I say this hallway isn't that bad, the tank dies in the next group, but we managed to clear it. The packs on the hallway to the second boss have some stuff to be interrupted, some tank mitigation that needs to happen, but nothing I can really help with as a priest. That I know of there is. Please correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. And the shaman dies. Again. If this happens to you, the whole expiring from life in a video game, and you're closer to the boss than to the entrance, just wait for a res. There's literally no benefit from you instantly releasing and making the group wait for you to just waddle on and get there. Okay, second boss, Amarth. The thing with this guy is that he summons a group of undead by casting Land of the Dead that you have to focus down and kill before he casts Final Harvest. If he does cast it and any adds are alive at that time, they will go boom. And if we have learned something from being alive, is that things that go boom are usually not good for the body. Also, don't be like me and please interrupt the Necrotic Bolt. For the next Land of the Dead cast, I make a silly little mistake with my Unga Bunga DPS brain. See, when the ads spawn, I don't wait for the tank to get aggro and I quickly use my Shadow Crash on the mobs that spawn far away. This means that I get instant aggro and focused down by the mage. So +1 death, and this time it was mine again. But we still have 17 minutes, so we're making good time, and as long as we don't make any major mistakes, say, I don't know, in the next boss fight, we should be alright to time the key. What's this, my fourth sigh on this video? Maybe Twitter was right after all. But let's turn this into a learning experience for everyone and let's recap. I'm gonna quickly explain this fight and then I'll show you everything the group did wrong. But I'm not gonna keep you guys for long because the video is starting to get a bit lengthy and I still have another dungeon to cover. So this fight shouldn't be hard at all as proven by our last pull, and that will show you in real time just how ridiculous everything else was. The whole thing with this fight is that the boss summons these abominations that deal damage, but the important part is the meat hook ability, which, as shown by our shaman here, you need to position in the direction of the boss and you move out of the way when it's about to go off, so the boss gets pulled into the room and you just deal a lot of damage to it, and they add in hopes of getting rid of it, and you repeat. Simple. Except for the fact that the shaman was doing no DPS because he spent a lot of the time positioning the hook away so far from the abomination that he just stood there. Menacingly. And that meant that the second construct got summoned, stacking their damage over time and making this fight a living hell. Oh, and to stay in theme for this run, the shaman dies. Again. Now look at this. I did aim it at a completely wrong direction, so this mess up was totally my fault. But just keep your attention on our blue class madman. The meat hook is about to cast, and he just stands there, again, casting some spells instead of running directly into the abomination that's about to be defeated so he could, DPS it. And you can guess what happens again, dear viewers. Say it with me, the shaman dies again. And like I said before, I'm not gonna keep you hostage explaining every single pull and every single death, and I'm gonna let the last pull speak for itself. I will speed it up just a bit, but just know that I did PI the paladin, and the shaman apparently was playing with all broken equipment because he's doing absolutely no damage at all. The final boss was a complete cakewalk. We take no more deaths and we easily one-shot it, giving me my first 141 points for this season, a 597 helmet piece on the champion track, and another keystone, this time for a +2 Grim Batol. Oh boy. This Maddening run is brought to you by your local party, comprised of a Resta Shaman, Warlock, Death Knight, yours truly, and the start of the show, a very under-gear protection warrior that I didn't even expect before inviting, so I will happily carry half of the blame for this one. But bro, if you're under-geared, if you see your party struggle, slow down, please. Anyway, if you're watching this series, you have probably lived through the trauma that is Grim Batol. If you haven't, good for you. But I have been talking for a while, so I will try to keep this one short and sweet because honestly, up to the first boss, we played wonderfully. Interrupts were going out, people were getting healed, the DPS was DPSing, and the tank was, surprisingly, tanking. Now, I have no idea what was possessing the tank, but he basically wanted to skip every pack. If you know me, you know I used to watch the videos and read guides before stepping into these dungeons, but for this season I wanted to try out and figure the game out myself, which is why I'm not using major add-ons. But I digress. I have no idea if there's a pro MDI strat where you skip everything then do some wonder pull to finish up the dungeon, and thankfully the healer was locked in and pinging like a madman, because he saw what the tank was doing. Thankfully, Mr. Tank here got the hint and didn't have the gigantic ego some tank players have and turned back to clear the pack. The second boss is basically a tank fight, because they're the ones who have to deal with the majority of the mechanics here. Thankfully, I'm playing a hybrid class, because I had to switch to healer brain for many instances during this run. Our tank gets smashed and the DK taunts the boss, so I started healing and putting shields on them until the boss was taken out. After the fight, the tank skipped yet another pack that got pinged by the healer again. I have no idea if this is some YouTuber or streamer strat, but this man wanted to skip everything, and the things we didn't skip, he got one shot in. The way to the third boss was stressful to say the least. I had to stop DPSing to help the healer keep the tank alive basically every pull, which, again, my fault for not checking the tank before inviting him. The fight with the third boss was a bit messy, with all the knockbacks, tornado dodging and kiting of the ads you have to do, but we managed to defeat it without our team suffering more losses. These hallway fights keep being stressful because the tank's health is more similar to a Blood DK's than a Protection Warrior's, and this pull right here by the stairs was wild. The group has about 8 stacks of the debuff called Shadow Wound, which increases our shadow damage taken by 24% at this point. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of shadow damage going on here, and he finds out the hard way. The DK tries their hardest, bless them, but ends up falling shortly after. The shaman, the priest and the warlock are now fighting for their life, but the warrior manages to resurrect and run back to us just in time to avoid a wipe. Then came the Death Knight, and we finally managed to clear this grueling pack. The following group dies easily, but then the tank does the sug, charges into a massive cluster of enemies, with 0 defensives up, and instantly dies. The rest of the group follows except for me, because I was mind controlled and moved far away from the enemies as the spell ended, so I wasn't hostile to them. The warrior charges in again, and I feel obligated to help the healer keep him alive, so I use my power word shield and whatever flash heal I can spare. I ask the tank to please slow down in the future, to which I receive speed run, speed W as a response. We run back to clear another pack for more percentage before going to the boss room again. Now this fight is chaotic as hell. You have the boss dealing massive damage to the tank, you have tentacles sprouting everywhere across the room that stun you if you touch them, you also have this shrinking circle that centers anywhere in the room, so you have to keep an eye out to where the final location will be, plus random players will have these void circles around them pulsing damage. The boss also uses Void Surge, which is a huge damage AoE that slaps the group for a few times. After a few wipes, 21 deaths and another brick key, I finish my... damn it, we're still short on percentage. The tank says, yeah, sorry, my bad, to which I reply, speedrun W. Yes, I'm mad, yes, I'm being a petty bitch. We finally complete percentage and can go back to the boss room to reap out our undeserved rewards, which in my case is 52 gold. I honestly need a break after that, so I go with my newly acquired gear straight to the catalyst to upgrade a few pieces into tier gear, and I decide to go for the helmet and the shoulders. I know, if this was it for my week, I should have waited to see what the vault had just in case I got some tier pieces there, and you are absolutely right. But my brain was absolutely fried after those 2 disastrous runs, and I'm left with a severe case of insecurities. I go upgrade my gear as much as I can, and I end the week at item level 593, which I thought was gonna be fine for just some early Mythic Plus, but like I said, insecurities hit, and honestly I don't know if I'm really ready to tackle Mythic Plus just yet. Regardless, I'm gonna take a break for a couple days and come back to finish up some delves, some world objectives, and other miscellaneous activities to start up the next episode with the Verdant Vault. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell to follow the rest of the series. If these 2 runs are any indication of what the rest of my journey is going to be, I better strap in and put on my big boy pants because it's going to be a wild ride. Thank you all for watching, take care, and I will see you in the next one.